She had plans for her 52nd birthday, the kind of plans that, just a few years ago, would have filled her with equal parts dread and obligation. Celebrations at work, cake she didn't want to eat, attention she didn't want, and a performance of gratitude she didn't always feel. But this year was supposed to be different. No more office parties, no more birthday girl role to play, just a quiet celebration at home with the people who matter most. And then life intervened. In case you haven't guessed it yet, she is me. I'm your host, Jenn Fast. If you're tuning in for the first time, welcome to the Comeback Show, where we talk about what it really looks like to rebuild after burnout, after big life changes, after the world's expectations stop fitting your real life. I want to start with a confession. I had plans for my birthday. I was genuinely looking forward to them, but a sudden illness put me flat on my back for a week. All my plans, a family dinner, a little celebration, even the content I'd mapped out for you, went out the window. And you know what? It was exactly what I needed. I used to dread birthdays, especially as the numbers climbed higher. I'd feel like I was running out of time, and every celebration felt like a reminder of what I hadn't yet done. But this year, as I lay in bed, I realized I no longer felt the need to perform for anyone. I didn't have to show up for coworkers, pretend that cake totally fit my meal plan, or fake a smile when someone started to sing to me, although inside I was cringing. Even with my family, I could say, I'm not feeling up to celebrating. Can we postpone until I'm better? And they understood. Sleeping all day felt like a luxury. It was a gift I didn't know I needed. When I finally did celebrate with my family, days later, when I felt truly better, I was able to show up with real gratitude. Not the forced kind, but the kind that comes from genuine rest and presence. This week of rest taught me more than any party could have. It forced me to re-examine what matters, to pause, and to let go of the pressure to be on all the time. And it set the stage for everything I want to share with you today. For years, I believed consistency meant always delivering, always showing up, always being the high-functioning version of myself, even when I was running on empty. But lying in bed that week, I realized that version of me was never truly okay. There was always a misalignment between the identity I'd built and the person I wanted to become. If you've ever felt that tension between who you've been and who you're becoming, you're not alone. The biggest lesson? Consistency isn't intensity. Consistency is a floor you can meet, not a bar you have to vault over every single day. As I recovered, I leaned hard on several frameworks I've built over the past years. The first was something I call the permission to pause audit. Here's what it looks like. I'm someone that hyper-focuses when I work. If not interrupted, my spicy brain will keep me locked in on what I'm working on to the extreme of ignoring all other distractions, hunger cues, and even needing to use the bathroom. It might take me several hours to realize that I'm in physical pain and need to stop. So I've had to set reminders to pause every 60 to 90 minutes and switch tasks. When I do, I first stop and check in with myself. I assess how I'm feeling and decide what I need most in that moment. If I'm doing great, I can continue with my plan for that day. But if I'm hungry or have a headache or need to move my body or feeling overwhelmed, I can choose to address those needs even if that means changing my plan. That's how I realized I was getting sick in the first place, by checking in with my body and honoring what it told me. For the next several days, my minimum viable day became my compass. A minimum viable day is your backup plan if everything goes to hell and you have to abandon your plan to take care of something urgent and important. That something could and should include you and your own needs. When I got sick during my birthday week, I focused on taking care of myself and my family and let everything else go. No guilt, no explanations needed. And as I started to feel better, I relied on something I call two-way plans, giving myself both a high capacity and low capacity version of each day so that I could move forward gently without overdoing it. If I'm feeling great, I run with my high capacity plan for the day. If I'm not doing so great for whatever reason, I follow the low capacity plan. And finally, a framework that I call the Clarity to Confidence Cycle was my reminder that progress isn't about having it all figured out. What is it? This cycle is about moving from confusion to action and then back to clarity and self-trust. The stages are pause, identify what matters, take one small step, reflect, and recalibrate. Now, why does this matter? It's not about having it all figured out. It's about building confidence through tiny, repeated wins and using clarity as a compass, not a finish line. Here's how I use it. When I'm stuck, I pause, ask myself what actually matters right now, take the smallest step I can, and then check in again. Rinse and repeat. What it gives me is clarity that feels like a deep breath in my body, and confidence is the exhale. If you're listening and wondering if these frameworks are just theory, they're not. They're the scaffolding that held me up when everything else was falling away. You can read more about these frameworks in the article called Midlife Clarity at 52, 4 frameworks that help me go from chaos to calm and build authentic productivity after burnout. I've linked it in the show notes and the newsletter version of this podcast. Something else shifted for me this year: community. For a long time, community was either online or at work, and I never truly felt like I belonged. It turns out I was just in the wrong room. Now, as I rebuild my network with other female entrepreneurs, I'm discovering a sense of belonging I never expected. It's inspiring, motivating, and opening doors I never would have found alone. Let me share 2 stories that moved me deeply in the past couple of weeks. Both women will be joining me as guests soon, one on the Productive AF podcast and hopefully one on the Comeback Show. The first had her last straw moment when she asked her boss for permission to leave work for an hour to hear her son give a speech at school. Her boss said no. In that moment, she decided no one would ever again tell her whether or not she could show up for her kids. She walked away from her job and turned her side hustle into a full-time business. The second sold her family business and moved her entire family across the country to start fresh in a new city. She's building a new community from the ground up, and for the first time, truly enjoying her life. The common thread? Women taking bold, imperfect action and putting themselves and their families first. The myth I want to bust for you is this: you don't have to wait until you're ready. Action itself prepares you for what's next. This is why I created the January Reset Kit, Fresh Starts and Gentle Goals, part of the Comeback Year monthly reset kits. I learned the hard way that sustainable change comes from gentle structure, not pressure. This kit is here to help you come back to yourself and build what's next, one doable step at a time. If you've been thinking about giving yourself a gentle reset, this is your last call to grab the January kit before the February kit launches. I've linked it in the notes for you, and I hope you'll feel prepared, calm, and inspired after using it. As you listen to this, I hope you'll take a moment to reflect. What is your real AF win this week? What's one framework you could try, even in a small way? And what's one thing you're ready to let go of, so you can move forward with a little more gentleness? If you found this episode helpful, please subscribe, share it with a friend, and leave a 5-star review. Those reviews go a long way towards helping others find our community. And don't miss my audio appearance in the If I Were Starting Again event that runs February 5th through the 28th. You'll get insights from me and 16 other female entrepreneurs on what really matters when you're building something new. I'll link that for you, as well as the new podcast episode that just launched and I'm really proud of. I recently sat down with Ayla on her podcast, Not That Kind of CEO, to talk about something I don't see discussed honestly enough. What really happens when female entrepreneurs try to operate like high-level executives without the support systems those roles rely on. We talk about boundaries, burnout, and the physical cost of pushing through stress for too long, especially when you're juggling motherhood and a business at the same time. If you've ever felt like you're doing everything right and still falling apart, this conversation might explain more than you expect. Thanks for listening to The Comeback Show. Until next time, please remember, you're not alone in this. Progress over perfection is real, and you belong here.